It's official. The throne of the most glazed shit character goes to that monkey. And today—
Warning, warning, rage rate detected. Activating booty busting
What is
systems.
this? I must slime out every Goku downplayer and put the belt to ass viciously. But before we do that, you know the drill. Go to bio for the link to my Discord server. And yes, we Goku Goon and Spoon, so hurry up and join and glaze Goku right now.
it all started with his infamous Beerus fight. Those shockwaves threatening to destroy the macrocosm weren't Goku's raw power, but an illustration between God Ki.
Well, actually, it wasn't his raw power. It was God Ki, even though that God Ki is Goku's raw power. Yeah, I don't know what this dude is yapping about, but everything within Dragon Ball is an illustration. Illustration just means a visual representation. So the apparent illustration of God Ki is us visually seeing shockwaves powerful enough to travel across the macrocosm. We visually see it because it's actually happening. Not only that, but the sentence itself doesn't make sense either. Illustration between God Ki and what? This is already straight baboon babble.
Think about it like this. When two people push against each with equal force, their hand shakes, but if one stops pushing, the shaking stops, meaning the shaking wasn't from just one person.
Yeah, this analogy is straight cheeks. Normally, when you push against someone, the universe isn't going to shake along with you. So obviously, if two people pushing against each other is causing the universe to shake, then that means both of them are strong enough to meet the energy requirements to do so.
You cannot argue that they nullified them because old Kai explicitly stated that is their unfathomable ki clashing. People who claim Goku nullified them alone are ignoring Beerus' role in the clash. Even he himself said he was holding back.
You must be very confused. They're creating the shockwaves themselves with their punches, so bringing up the nullification Goku was doing would be redundant. That's all I'm going to say about this point because it was mostly babble.
Now, to the otherworld transcendence cope, I cannot understand how people cling to this stupidity. Before I start to dismantle this nonsense, we will have to first understand that in the start of Dragon Ball Z, it was said, to understand the cosmology of Dragon Ball Z, you'll have to take a brief but interesting side trip into the realm of Asian mythology.
What do you mean by the start of Dragon Ball Z? Pretty sure this statement comes from a board game made in America. I would not bother to take this scan as something reliable to the main source material, but even if I do, this same scan comes from there, also basically stating that Otherworld is truly another level of reality that's connected to ours only on the most metaphysical level. Honestly, just take what you will with that.
Transcendence by definition means beyond space and time, yet Snakeway has a literal distance, King Kai's planet has measurable gravity, 10 times Earth's, and the afterlife is repeatedly shown being threatened by universal destruction, Buu, Zamasu, etc. And how could be the otherworld be transcendence if oxygen, gravity, physical structure exist in there? It all follows thermodynamics.
Typical. I'm just gonna explain why literally none of this matters. I think the best example to bring up is R over F transcendence. The idea of this is when a being is qualitatively superior to another world, and therefore, as a result, sees it as fiction. Qualitative superiority should grant outerversal since it entails being above material composition. Someone can view something as fiction and be qualitatively superior, but their own reality is still gonna be physical to them. Otherworld transcends the living universe, but within its own framework, it possesses its own distinct properties that also transcend the living world. The fact that Otherworld needs these properties for souls and beings to function, there doesn't mean it's bound by the same material composition as the physical universe. There is also just narrative convenience.
Goku ages there in DBZ chapter 430.
I looked through this chapter and unsurprisingly found nothing about Goku aging. In fact, it's pretty common knowledge that Goku doesn't age there at all. By the way, we aren't even halfway through the video. The upcoming arguments aren't good either, so I see no point in forcing myself to listen to any more of this. Let's just skip to the end and get this over with. Bro, stop, I can't even read this. Alright, that's better. So we got universal plus as a maximum, which makes no sense. The macrocosm is low multiversal at the bare minimum due to containing multiple different separate spacetimes. Below that, somehow, he got infinite 3D to only multi-galaxy. Even if I were to grant it's just an environmental hacks that still wouldn't make any sense. For realistic scaling, he says something about movie Broly shockwaves. What the hell does that even mean? Not gonna even bother with that. Next sentence is then about Cell. Not gonna bother with this either. How is earlier and weaker Dragon Ball more realistic scaling? This is so ass bruh. The speed scaling is also cheeks. I'm 100% sure this is not how you get Goku to MFTL+, so I don't know what you're doing. Ultimate debunk my ass. Stay mad that Goku slams your favorite and curb stomps them brutally and skins them mercilessly.